Just wanted to give you an update on where I'm at with the cluster here. It's taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would. Uh, this is my second attempt. I'll show you my first one in a minute. This one came out really, really well. I'm happy with it. I don't know if you can see here, but the seam is rather seamless. Turned out really well. My first attempt, I made a couple of mistakes, and they showed up in the end. The main thing that when I epoxied this in, I used a syringe. Actually, it was a veterinarian syringe. Filled it with epoxy, and I used it like a caulk gun. And I caulked the edge here, where the aluminum meets the plastic. And then I heated it up. And what happened was, it looked good when I set it down, but then I walked away from it. And the heat melted the JB Weld so much that it actually sunk in places. So instead of going back over it with JB Weld the next day, I went with a fast-setting epoxy. I was in a hurry. That was a mistake because it never really hardened. It never really set up. And then I tried to cover it up with multiple layers of primer. And you can see one of the other mistakes that I made is I did not clean out the hole itself. And these gauges, really, you got to wiggle them to get them in there. So the hole got smaller. And when I tried to take them out, you can see where it blew away some of the primer with the paint. It just kept getting worse. Unfortunately, I had the foresight to tell the machinist to cut me out of several different plates, so I had another attempt. And I had another original bezel, too, to work with. But this one, you do it once, you make your mistakes, and you learn from it. And the second one came out really, really well. My other plates came out pretty decent. I'm happy with them. They're not really centered. The holes are not centered in the plate, and it'd be a lot easier to make the plate and then cut the hole. But I already had the holes cut. So you've got to kind of cut the plate around an uncentered hole. But they turned out pretty nice. I'm happy with them. This is a cigarette lighter with a clock in it. This is the cigarette lighter mount. That was real easy to cut out, and I didn't have to fabricate anything. And this is painted too, by the way. I did paint the bezel yesterday. It's a little shinier than I want it to be. And the reason for that is multiple coats. And you've got to paint it numerous times to get up in to these areas and then get in the corners and get everything wet. And to get down in here and in the cracks and recesses of the bezel. And the more coats you apply, the wetter it looks, or the more glossy it looks. This is really supposed to be a matte finish, much like this plate is. So that's where I'm at. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, let me go over originally, I was going to just cut out enough to get as this was my practice. Cut out enough of the original tray here to get the gauges in. But there's a lot of wire involved here. There's more than I thought. So I went ahead and cleaned all of this out the other day. This broke. I think it was originally cracked to begin with. I was able to repair the crack, and that held up for a while. But then when I went to, and I wasn't manhandling it, pretty gentle, but it broke again. So I went ahead and made an aluminum tab here to patch it, and this time it seems to be pretty stable. I don't know what kind of plastic this is, but it's shit, frankly. It's very flexible. It must be some kind of nylon or something. But it will actually crack and tear very easily. In fact, this one here, the tab just broke off. I tried to fix it with some plastic epoxy, and that didn't work. I've got little spacers here. When you set the tray in and you fit the bezel to the tray, particularly with this plate in place, the bezel doesn't fit all the way down on to this mount right here. And I realize the reason is that there's a piece of plexiglass. The original window takes up that 1/8 of an inch of space. So I got little spacers here, epoxied them in place, and that brings the mount back up where the window would have been. And it makes it work out. The other thing I've got to do now, I'm looking for either 6. I was going to use two 6-pin connectors. I could go up to like a 12, like an 8 or a 12. So I'm gonna have to go to the junkyard, find something out of a newer vehicle, and cut 2 pigtails off. You know, make a connector for myself, because I want to connect all these gauges and then have one pigtail coming out, and I want to be able to just plug it into the truck so I can take it on and off. Now, some of these other gauges, like the air fuel gauge, well, this one will be fixed to the dash, and so will the clock. But this one, it's got its own, well, and also the temp and the oil pressure, they have their own transducers and their own wiring, so that'll be separate. But as far as the power, the lights, the fuel sender, that wire, it'll all run through the connector, so I can disconnect it. That way I only have a couple of connections to make and to take apart, to take this tray out. I won't be connecting the air fuel gauge or the fuel pressure gauge until I build the new engine. So they're just going to set in there. So this will come back out in a year or so anyway, to connect these 2 gauges once I get a new engine built. I think that's about it. Oh, the other thing is I'm gonna go back over this with chrome. So I've got to go get a chrome paint pen, and hopefully I won't screw that up. I want it to look nice. I think that's about it. Next time I should have the gauges in place, wired with the pigtail, and I'll probably have them installed in the truck next time I post a vid. Thanks for listening. Give you a quick look at what this is going to look like in the end here, or what it's going to look like once it's installed. If I can get this up in there. It's about what all the gauges are going to look like. I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. Thanks for listening.